Hi guys, how you doing? This has been the Real Estate Pro. Wanted to come at you with something a little bit more positive, because all I've been talking about is the litigation that's been going on against NAR and also the major brokerages that are out there. Uh, but guys, at the end of the day, for real estate agents, regardless of where you are in your career, whether you're pushing through, maybe doing a little bit of business right now, maybe you're doing a lot of business right now, or maybe you're not doing any business right now, there's still going to be a space for us regardless of what happens. Now, what is that going to look like? That's really the question. Okay, it's not that our real estate agent is going to exist, our buyer's agent is going to exist, our listing agent is going to exist. I think all of those are going to exist. It's just what landscape are we going to be looking at? What rules are we going to have to abide by? That's really the question. But there's still a need for real estate agents. There's still a need for people like us. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, well, AI is going to be taking over this and that. And you know what? I look, there are a lot of businesses, a lot of professions that are going to be affected by AI. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a need. People like to work with other people, not a machine. Okay. And maybe there are people out there that do like that, but most people are going to want to deal with a person. Okay. Maybe one day that'll change, but for right now, at least in my lifetime, I don't think that real estate agents or real estate is just going to be an automated system anytime soon. It may, and I can see a case for it, but I don't think that's something that we need to worry about right now. But at the end of the day, take heart, because we are, there's going to be a space for us. Like I said, it's going to be interesting over the next, maybe I would say 3 weeks, because I expect that the Judge Bowe, I believe is his name, in the Sitzer Burnett trial. I keep calling it Bennett. But anyway, in the Sitzer Burnett trial, he's going to make a ruling on a couple of things. One is the amount of damages that were awarded. Now, I'm understanding that since it's treble damages and there was like 1.78 million or billion that was awarded by the jury, I believe that's tripled to about 5.3 billion. Well, I expect that will get reduced by the judge, okay? Because, see, there's something called a supersedeas bond that needs to be, that NAR is going to have to put up in order to appeal, okay? I don't know of too many companies out there that have $5.3 billion. It's not like a bail bond where you need to come up with 10%. Supersedeas appellate bonds, you have to have 100% collateral. And last I checked, National Association of Realtors had about $1 billion or so in assets. And I don't know if that'll count, because I don't know if you can use assets like that to put into a supersedeas bond. I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. And then and you also have to remember that the other defendants that Home Services of America and Keller Williams, I don't think that they have a whole heck of a lot when it comes to net worth. And being able to put up this bond at 5.3 billion would be, I think, impossible. I don't think it's possible for them to do that. So NAR has asked that the judgment amount be reduced, and the judge may do that because he doesn't want to put necessarily these people, or nobody wants to put NAR or any of the defendants into bankruptcy, because then that opens up a whole other can of worms. Now you got to go through the bankruptcy process, and who knows what's going to happen there, how long that's going to take. Okay, but the appeal there wouldn't be an appeal in that case. So the judge is probably going to have to sit there and balance this out and go, okay, I got to have a bond here so that they can go ahead and appeal, but I can't make the bond so high that they file bankruptcy. Okay, and the plaintiffs really don't want that either, because they want their money. Okay, they want some funds. They want to get paid, and they don't want to have to wait for a big old bankruptcy proceeding to happen. So we'll see what happens there. And then the injunctive relief, that's going to be pretty big. I know a lot of people like to compare, I believe it's called Northwest MLS. They stopped posting buyer's commissions on their MLS maybe a couple years ago. A lot of people are pointing to that, saying, okay, that's what it's going to be like, and nothing's really going to change. It's really hard to compare that with something we don't even know yet. Okay, and on top of that, I mean, we're talking about the underlying mechanisms, the participation rule, all that. That was largely unchanged. Okay. So it's really not a good example using Northwestern MLS as an example of what we're going to see in the future after all this litigation is done. Okay, because there's a paradigm shift. Okay, Northwest MLS, the way that they were operating the last couple of years, even though they weren't posting buyer's agents fees, okay, they didn't. The underlying paradigm was the same. Okay, now we're talking about a paradigm shift, and let me try and explain what a paradigm shift is. There was this motivational speaker that had a multi-level marketing company years ago. His name was J.R. Ridinger, and he said something one time when he was trying to explain paradigm shifts that I think simplifies it pretty well. Basically, what he said was, what a paradigm shift is, what was true is no longer true, and that's basically it. Okay, the rules that we are governed by and how we operate, those rules are gone. We'll be operating under new rules, essentially, is what I think is going to happen. Okay, I don't see the judge just going, injunctive relief, I'm just going to make all this stuff optional. Yeah, if you want to post commissions, then fine. If you don't, I don't see that happening. I actually see him coming down pretty hard. It wouldn't surprise me if he, told NAR. Now, here's another misconception: is, at least to my understanding, is that the judge cannot make a law or make a regulation that all the state governments have to abide by. Not to my understanding. Maybe he can, and I just misunderstood the legal counsel that I talked to. But they can order NAR, Home Services of America, and Keller Williams, all the other defendants. He can order them to change their business practices and dictate what those big business practices are. Okay? So what I expect to happen is, once that happens, because you got to remember, it's not just NAR. Okay, these business practices, if he chooses to do this, which is what I think he'll do, will have to be followed by Keller Williams, Home Service of America, which is a whole bunch of different brands, and then you got to look at all the people that settled, Anywhere Real Estate, right, which is like Century 21. There's a bunch of them, right? Remax, all these different companies, Redfin, are all going to abide by those rules, even though they went ahead and settled, okay, which is probably the best move they could have made. Apparently they saw something that maybe the rest of us didn't. But if they, they're going to go fall in line, and they're going to abide by whatever this rule is. Now, if the appeals process goes through, that doesn't mean that we can just wait around, okay? It just means that there's an appeal to whatever judgment there is, okay? I would expect that most MLSs, which are, and that's another thing altogether, are going to follow suit as well, not only because of this Sitzer-Burnett trial, or the results of the verdict, but I expect to also, in the Merle trial, which does name the MLSs in that trial, I expect them to kind of follow suit with whatever happens here, and I see a settlement. I see NAR just deciding to settle, make a national settlement, or at least try to make a national settlement, and just get all this behind us. So, is it possible that they'll appeal? Yeah, it's possible, but we don't know what they have to come up with in order to appeal. Okay, that's really the big question, and we also don't know what to compare all this with. Okay. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what this judge is going to say. And we're just going to have to wait and find out. And then when that happens, we're going to have a lot to talk about. But for right now, as far as agents, what it means for you and I, I'm pretty much business as usual. I'm really not changing much. Okay. If I need to pivot or shift, then I'll do that. This certainly is a conversation I'm having with a lot of my clients and potential clients. They all have questions as to how this affects things moving into the future. We're making some subtle changes as far as how we do things, and then we'll make more changes if need be. So anyways, guys, getting on 10 minutes on this video. Hopefully this helps. Just look, if you're a real estate agent like me, or if you're a loan officer like me, go out there and get the business. Go out there and do the best you can. Seek out knowledge. YouTube's a great place to, look at getting some training, maybe if you think you need it, or maybe seeing things from a different point of view, or obtaining some strategies that you think will help you in your business. There's still a lot to do. There's still plenty of money to be made. There's still plenty of business out there. There's no reason why you should stop. Okay? All right, guys, this has been the Real Estate Pro. I'm out.